I just want to give a brief intro for the one person out there who doesn't know what TEDx is in general. If you could please share with us a bit about TEDx, what's the whole vision, what you're trying to achieve, and maybe a bit of your experience of how you ended up actually creating over 10 hours of content around TEDx Vienna. So the stage is yours.
Sure thing. Thanks for having me. Sorry, everybody, for the technical hiccup, but that's you should always be prepared for technical hiccups. I've been doing events now for over 11 years, and you can plan for everything, but there will be one thing that you haven't thought of. That being said, the easiest way to get me back on air was to turn it off and on again. So most of the time it's the easiest solution that works. So Juan already introduced me so eloquently. Just for me to give you a bit of insight into TEDx. TEDx is a program created by the TED conferences back in the States back in 2009. If you don't know what TED stands for, they're Technology, Entertainment, Design Conference. That is as old as I am, by the way. The first one took place in 1984. So that's quite some years ago. And in 2009, they decided to make that format sort of available to other organizations to do it on a local scale. So in 2010, when I came to Vienna, I'm originally from Romania. I took the license, actually wanted to join the nonprofit that was organizing it, found out that nobody organized it, and joined it, and founded it, basically. So since then, it grew to kind of a bigger event, and we do conferences every year, one conference per year. And we started in 2010. Actually, our first conference already had a live stream. So we used livestream.com. Back then, it was a startup. Now it's incorporated into Vimeo. The IAC group bought it. But back then, we even were in touch with people from livestream.com to help us set up everything. And so we've experienced the power of live stream and going beyond that limit that physical events bring along. Especially in the first year, TEDx Vienna was limited by license to only 100 people attending at the event. So through livestream.com and making it online available and promoting it a bit in advance, we were able to reach a few hundred people in the first year. And then we continued doing it year after year. The conference grew in size. In physical events, we've went from 100 to a couple hundreds. Up until last year, when we had the biggest one, our 10-year anniversary, had around 1,500 people overall. So, which is kind of huge for us. And but that number is still super small compared to the people we've managed to reach with the help of BSEEN and Juan through the show that we put on. We've reached around 10,000 people who tuned in for the day to see the talks, the TED Talks, but also the show that we've prepared especially for them, who they weren't able to attend side events, interactives, exhibitions, but they were able to attend a digital version of that. And that was made possible with BSEEN. And our vision, our purpose with TEDx is to spread ideas around the world, to spark inspiration in people, to maybe confront them with new ways of thinking, and through enriching the event with this live format that I'm going to tell you a bit more about, we were able to act on that vision and to reach more people consequently. Yeah. The challenge that before we started working, Juan, so we were accustomed to basically have the talks streamed to an audience, and then in the breaks when people got together at the event, they started interacting with each other, of course, networking, but also with partners, with interactives. We have a lot of tech on display that people can test and experience for the first time, maybe in a lot of cases. We actually cut the live feed for them and told them come back in an hour. And then by doing this cut, of course, we lost a lot of the viewers because some will come back, but there will always be a drop when you have like a bottleneck or a hiccup in the stream. And even if it's a planned hiccup, like a cut because you don't have any program in there. It was around 4 years ago. Actually, we were working together now for quite a while as well. But it was around 4 years ago when we actually had grown out of the venue that we had at the time, which was a theater in Vienna, and the capacity was capped at about 1,000. And it was, of course, too late in the year. We already had everything in place there and everything signed. So it was too late to change the venue. So we started thinking about, okay, would it be possible to like rent out a cinema and have the live stream that we were doing at the time streamed there? And we found a cinema in the back of Volkstheater, and it was an old art house cinema, still owned by the original founders' family, and they didn't have a lot of foot traffic. So what we did is we rented that space and sort of sold additional tickets, way cheaper, of course, to people who didn't manage to buy tickets to the sold-out main conference in the theater. And then we started thinking further and said, okay, but for them, we would need to create an additional experience as well at the place. So we started to do some mini interactives. We had part of our volunteer team set up there. They did some creative interactions and brainstorm. So we set up a complete whole team only for that event. And so that worked super well. And with that experience in mind, we came together with BSEEN, and they came with a lot of creative input on how to take that basically and make this whole additional experience into a completely digital one. Now we had components already in place. We had the live stream of the talks, and we knew that there were a lot of other people who would love to get maybe also together in small groups, bigger groups around that live stream. So for them, first of all, we had to come up with concepts of enriching the talks with additional content, of course. So Juan me over basically with the concept of having additional curated stuff in there, right? So to basically not only take bits and pieces of content that we produced otherwise in other parts, or maybe also in another time, and sprinkle it in there between the live talks, but to actually skim for fitting content on platforms like Vimeo, where artists create a lot of interesting stuff, and then go one step even further and make live content at the venue, film it, and then an hour later stream it to the audience that wasn't at the event. So we started, like, the gear started turning basically, and it developed into something much bigger than our initial imagination thought possible, probably, because we didn't stop there. I mean, Juan, you've taken this to a whole other level. Each year we added like an additional layer, at least one additional layer. I would argue, actually, several layers, from interviews with the speakers who had been on stage, to engaging with the live audience, to bringing in members of the team, and everything in such a professional manner. So we know this was successful because we kept doing it year after year and growing the concept as the feedback was amazing. The feedback, not only viewership numbers, but also geography. So we started having people from all across Europe tuning in. We have people join the conference from other countries, so they come specifically for the conference to Vienna, though that's just a small percentage of the overall attendees. But through that, we already knew there are a lot of other communities, TEDx and beyond, in other countries who would like to tune in. So we reached them. But we started also to expand on the concept of that came up with renting the cinema. So we decided to, in the first year, actually working with you, Juan, we set up a specific place on the landing page where we named these sort of auxiliary events, satellite events, and we started contacting communities like co-working spaces, other TEDx's, startup communities, and we created a digital kit for them. So we had certain images, logos, a text, a rule set, what they can and can't do, and told them, look, you take this and you can set up a Facebook event, use the logo, use your logo, but use our image in the background, and invite your community to get together on the day of the event, and we'll provide a show they have never seen before. And it's specifically tailored for them. It's not only that they will get a peek into what happens on stage, but they will have a show specifically created for them. And that's what we managed to do with BSEEN. And I
didn't even know about this. I'm just finding out right now that you did all that stuff.
Yeah. So, and we've been doing it for quite some time. I think the most satellite events that we had were 15 in 6 different countries. Of course, Austria had the lion's share, but there were Germany, so all the countries around, back in Romania, my home country. So there were a lot of countries in Central and Western and Eastern, and I think even in the Nordics we had something in Stockholm happening in 1 year. So people got together, they set up Facebook events, invited their local audience and community, and they get together, watch for the whole day in some cases, but even if they watch only 1 or 2 sessions, it's still extremely valuable. And we enforced them to be free, so everybody could host and apply for hosting, but we emphasized that keeping them free and accessible to everyone is one of the main rules that we put in place. So this is like an example of how you take and roll it all over into sort of a new dimension, into combining the physical event with additional content beyond the stage, specifically catered, tailored, created for that online audience. And yeah, all in all, we've reached over 10,000 people, which is by all means, for me, I would have had somebody told me that back in 2010 when I was dabbling in setting up livestream.com and embedding it into our shitty WordPress page. I mean, I wouldn't have believed it to be possible.
Yeah.
And of course, this all comes with an additional cost, additional effort, but it definitely paid off. First of all, we always thought about putting somebody from the team together with BSEEN. So we have like a cross link between teams, and ideas get exchanged, but they're not lost on the way. And that worked perfectly with Sasha. Shout outs to Sasha. Secondly, financially, we've been able to include this as part of our partner deck, right? So it's basically we include interviews maybe with partners. We can include powered by logos, pre-rolls in there. So there are tons of ways to monetize this, and it is valuable content because the reach is definitely there, and it's even beyond, in some cases, the physical presence at the booth that we have. Of course, have this exhibition area where partners have booths, but this is sort of a digital booth, right, that they have. So you can think of it as that. So yeah. That being said, I mean, I could talk for hours about how this all developed, and I think that there is still
10 years.
There is still a chance to build on top of it. And I mean, the great experience we had with you, Juan, and your whole team at BSEEN has empowered us this year to, although we had to make a tough choice of not hosting our main conference in fall, the first time in 11 years, we actually started working more and more with digital content. So we have a series that's been going on since the lockdown started in Austria, which is Food for Thought, where we interview speakers in a one-on-one 1-hour call. And now on the 22nd of May, we have our first fully online 2-hour salon event where we'll have workshops with a few speakers. We'll have some watch parties of TEDx talks and then group discussions around that, and even an adventure that people get engaged. Even though they are all distributed and dispersed, we will engage them with an adventure, and you can do that if you are creative about employing live stream.
Nice. Wow, Vlad, thank you very much for sharing that huge perspective. I mean, there was stuff there that I didn't even know. What a great way to build a community, to engage your community, and beyond your local thing. Because even though if it is TEDx Vienna, and it wouldn't cross your mind to create an event in, I don't know, Sarajevo or Lisbon to watch TEDx Vienna. But the whole thing is that TEDx just brings together its own community. So there's going to be people around that are going to want to watch this anyway, just for the sake of going as an excuse for something that attracts similar people, and then they connect with you as well. And then one day they come. So yeah, like really, really awesome. And yeah, I think it's a great strategy that even beyond what I thought was possible, because I know that when we have the event, we're talking that we are 7 people. We have Sasha from your side together working on the content, coordinating. I mean, she coordinates everything. Then during the event, we get even more volunteers. I mean, in the end, the whole thing is like 7-8 people that are coming together. We share the live stream for the talks. Then we go during the talks, we're filming videos, then we go back to the studio, then we interview, then we embed the video. So it's also nice to what's happening from your side as a way to continue growing the brand and to use it as part of your strategy to expand your reach and grow communities that are relevant to you, even though they're not local. So that's amazing, and I think that could be really inspiring. And I mean, 10 years for the TEDx event based on our talks, I mean, they don't get to last that long. And that's actually one of the rare cases. So you're definitely doing something right. And I love to believe that the live stream had something to do with that. So thank you. Thank you very much, Vlad, for joining us today. Really interesting, this new part that you're launching, these adventures within. So if you guys are interested, you can go to TEDx Vienna. We can put the link right now underneath. Yeah, there it is. TEDxVienna.t/adventures within. And then get to be part of the new stage of this virtual experience that TEDx Vienna has prepared for you. So thank you very much, Vlad, for joining us, and wish you great success.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and it's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.